Most men think a woman shows interest by flirting. But what if I told you that the real sign she's interested almost never looks like attraction at all? As a female psychologist, I've spent years studying the quiet signals women send when they are deciding whether a man belongs in their life or should stay outside of it. And here's the truth most men never realize, especially older men who believe they already understand women. When a woman is genuinely curious about you, she doesn't always compliment you, flirt with you, or chase you. Instead, she asks something, not a dramatic question, not a romantic one, something small, something almost invisible, and that's exactly why most men miss it. You see, women rarely reveal attraction directly, especially emotionally mature women. They protect their curiosity the same way they protect their feelings, carefully, subtly, and in ways that won't embarrass them if the interest isn't returned. So instead of announcing attraction, they observe, they ask, they test the emotional depth of the man sitting in front of them. This is where many men fail without realizing it. Because when a woman asks a certain kind of question, she isn't asking for information. She's asking to see who you are beneath the surface. And when a man answers it casually, dismissively, or with shallow humor, something quietly shuts down inside her. Let me explain why. Women don't evaluate men the way men evaluate women. Men often look for visible traits, beauty, warmth, charm, but women are constantly scanning for something deeper, emotional stability, character, self-awareness, and the ability to hold space for real conversation. A simple question can reveal all of that. Imagine you're sitting across from a woman and she asks something that sounds harmless. Maybe she asks what you enjoy doing when you're completely alone. Maybe she asks what kind of life you imagined for yourself when you were younger. Maybe she asks what truly makes you feel proud of yourself. To many men, these sound like casual questions, something to brush off with a quick answer. But to her, your response is data. She's not just hearing your words, she's listening to how you think. She's watching how comfortable you are with honesty. She's noticing whether you can talk about your inner world without hiding behind jokes, arrogance, or detachment. And here's what many older men never realize. When a woman asks this kind of question, she's not interviewing you. She's imagining what life beside you would feel like. Would it feel safe? Would it feel shallow? Would it feel inspiring or emotionally exhausting? Women who have lived long enough to understand relationships know something many men ignore. Attraction fades, but emotional energy lasts. So when she asks a question that seems deeper than small talk, she is quietly asking herself a far more powerful question. Is this a man I could respect? And the way you answer might decide everything that follows. What many men misunderstand about women is this. Attraction for a woman is rarely a lightning strike. It's more like a slow investigation, and questions are her favorite tool. When a woman asks you something personal, not invasive, but thoughtful, she's trying to see how comfortable you are with emotional honesty. Not emotional drama, not oversharing, just honesty. This is where many men accidentally reveal more about themselves than they intend. Some men deflect immediately. They joke, they change the subject, or they answer in the most surface-level way possible. On the outside, it seems harmless, but inside her mind, a quiet conclusion begins to form. This man avoids depth. Other men go in the opposite direction. They try too hard to impress. They turn every answer into a performance about achievements, success, status, or intelligence. But that's not what she's listening for either. Women aren't testing your resume when they ask these questions. They're testing your self-awareness. A woman who is emotionally intelligent wants to know something very simple. Do you understand yourself? Because a man who understands himself rarely creates chaos in relationships. Let me give you an example that happens more often than you think. A woman might casually ask, "What's something you learned about yourself in the last few years?" Simple question, but incredibly revealing. Some men panic internally because they realize they've never thought about that before. Others rush to say something impressive but hollow, and some men shrug it off completely. But the rare man, the one who catches her attention, pauses for a moment. He thinks, and then he answers honestly. Maybe he talks about something he struggled with. Maybe he shares a realization about his priorities, his mistakes, or the direction his life is going. Not dramatically, just calmly. And in that moment, something shifts inside her. Because a man who can reflect on his own life sends a powerful signal. He's capable of growth. And growth is incredibly attractive to women who have experienced relationships that felt stuck, stagnant, or emotionally immature. Here's the deeper psychological truth. Women don't just choose partners based on who a man is today. They choose based on who he has the potential to become. Your ability to reflect on your own experiences tells her whether you evolve or repeat the same mistakes forever. That's why these questions matter so much more than men realize. To you, it might feel like a random conversation. To her, it's a quiet moment where she's deciding whether your mind and heart are places she wants to visit again. And if she likes what she sees in your answer, something interesting happens. Her questions become more frequent, not because she's interrogating you, because curiosity is growing. Curiosity is one of the strongest signals of female interest, but it rarely looks the way men expect. Many men wait for obvious flirting, compliments, physical closeness, clear romantic signals, but by the time those things happen, a woman has usually already made an internal decision about you. What happens before that decision is far more subtle. She asks questions that invite you to reveal your worldview. For example, a woman might ask how you handle stress, or what you value most in friendships, or what kind of environment makes you feel most at peace. These questions aren't random, they are windows. Women often imagine emotional scenarios long before they experience them. They picture how a man might react during pressure, disappointment, or uncertainty, and the answers you give help her fill in those imagined moments. Think about that for a second. She's not just asking what you think, she's imagining what life beside you would feel like during real situations. Would you become distant? Would you become angry? Would you withdraw emotionally? Or would you remain calm, thoughtful, and steady? Women who have experienced emotional turbulence in past relationships become extremely sensitive to these patterns. So when a woman asks questions about your mindset, your reactions, or your personal values, she's actually trying to understand the emotional climate of your life. And here is something many older men underestimate. Women are incredibly perceptive about authenticity. If your answer sounds rehearsed, exaggerated, or defensive, she notices. Not consciously, perhaps, but instinctively. But when a man answers naturally, with a balance of confidence and humility, it signals emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is one of the rarest and most magnetic traits a man can possess. A mature woman doesn't need perfection. She needs emotional stability. She needs to know that the man beside her won't collapse under pressure, disappear when conversations get difficult, or shut down when feelings appear. That's why thoughtful questions are her gateway. Each answer reveals a layer of your character, and when she senses depth instead of performance, curiosity turns into something stronger. Respect. Respect is the foundation of attraction that lasts longer than physical chemistry. Many men try to create attraction with charm or humor, and those things can help. But respect grows from something deeper. The sense that a man understands himself and carries his life with intention. So when a woman asks you a meaningful question, she's offering you something rare, an opportunity to show who you truly are, not the image you think impresses people, the real version of you. And when that version feels grounded and genuine, a woman begins to lean in emotionally, even before she realizes it herself. There's something powerful that happens when a woman feels safe asking deeper questions. She relaxes, not physically at first, but psychologically. Because curiosity only grows in environments where a woman senses emotional safety. And emotional safety doesn't mean perfection. It means predictability, honesty, and emotional steadiness. When a man answers questions with calm openness instead of defensiveness or arrogance, a woman begins to see him differently from the men she has encountered before, and that difference is incredibly attractive. Many women, especially those who have experienced relationships that drained them emotionally, become very cautious with their curiosity. They stop asking deeper questions because too many men respond with dismissal, sarcasm, or emotional walls. So when she meets a man who doesn't shut those doors, something shifts. Her questions become more personal, not invasive, just meaningful. She may ask what motivates you in life, what kind of environment makes you happiest, what kind of people you respect, and each answer you give quietly shapes her emotional perception of you. What fascinates me as a psychologist is how rarely men realize this is happening. They think it's just conversation, but inside her mind, she's slowly forming a picture of what it would feel like to share space with you. Would your presence bring calm into her life? Would it bring confusion? Would it bring strength? Women who have matured emotionally become extremely selective about the energy they allow into their world. And thoughtful questions are their way of exploring that energy before investing emotionally. So the next time a woman asks you something that seems unexpectedly thoughtful or reflective, pause before answering, not to craft the perfect response, but to answer honestly, because authenticity has a quiet magnetism that no rehearsed line can compete with. A man who understands his own values, lessons, and direction in life communicates something incredibly rare: emotional grounding. And grounding is attractive in a world full of chaos. Now, I want to ask you something personal. When a woman asks you a deeper question about your life, do you usually answer honestly, or do you instinctively keep the conversation on the surface? Write your answer in the comments. I read them. And if this perspective gave you a new way to understand women and relationships, make sure you like the video, subscribe, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this truth. Because sometimes the smallest questions reveal the biggest intentions.